This is the 500-word sermon by Jeff Grenell. I did not write this. This is a sermon I heard at North Central, preached by Jeff Grenell, one of the university's pastoral professors. This is a sermon for Christians. If you're not a Christian, you probably won't get as much out of this as I did. So here it is, the 500-word sermon. This is a sermon about two choices: Christian or pagan. No humanistic, eclectic, pantheistic, or subjective options. Absolutes are okay. The laws of our land are not universally accepted and have been found with theoretical fault, but they still govern us. Let's assume you're choosing Christian. What have you chosen? Consider the vast contrast in definition of Christian and pagan. Christian, an unmixed follower of Christ and his teachings. Pagan, a villager, uncentered, not of Christians or Abrahamic descent. Easy enough, or is it? The shrinking contrast of Christian and pagan is evident. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus' claim to be the truth is verifiable. Philosophically, in moral, spiritual, and reasonable evidence, objectively, in geography, history, and genealogy, ultimately by faith, like any other belief system. Cue the snake. Satan has come upon the scene to war against your choice of Christian, accomplishing that with ideologies that infiltrate our worldview and remove the contrast between Christian and pagan. And Christian has settled for a way of living anything but Christian. How do we know that we have made the choice of Christian and pagan? Simple evidence. Christian loves because God is love. Do you see revolutionary love in your life? A love for God and His words, a love for a man and his welfare. He who turns his ear from the poor man's child will cry himself and not be heard. Selfishness, inaction, autonomy, love, God, Christian. Has Satan accomplished his task of changing your choice? Seek a revolutionary God of love who begets revolutionary kids of love called Christian. How do we know the difference between Christian and pagan? Simple evidence. Christian is holy because God is holy. A life centered around a holy God will have no idols near it, for fear of awakening his jealous anger. God's holiness will evict Satan from wrestling in our ideologies and removing the contrast between Christian and pagan. We need 1,000 personal revivals. We have lost our hatred for sin and are living with transgressions, judging, hypocrisy, sexual sin. Holy, God, Christian. Christian. Is Christ and His love for your choice? Christian. Is Christ and His holiness your choice? Supreme affection for one thing produces complacency toward all of its rivals. Your choice begins today again, in just a few minutes, unhindered by Satan. This is you with God. if you have been duped into removing the contrast between Christian and pagan, are you enraged enough to change? Will you widen the contrast between the pagan deceptions you may be living and the Christian truth you should be living? A sermon of two choices, Christian and pagan. Will you do something about Christian love and holiness?